Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Girls Gotta Talk podcast. I just want to say that today is kind of the most aesthetic recording day for me as there possibly can be. It is super rainy outside, and I don't know, I just like the vibe of it. I don't typically like it to be rainy and gross when I'm off because then it just keeps me being inside and not going out and doing anything. But I'm also such a homebody that you would think I like the rain to be stuck inside and not go anywhere, but I don't know. I didn't have plans to go anywhere today anyways. So the fact that it's just I don't know, wet, rainy, I don't know. It's not really that cold, but it's just all rainy and it just kind of, ever since I woke up and found out that it was raining this morning, I didn't know it was supposed to rain today. When I opened the windows and saw that it was raining, I kind of was just I was kind of okay with it, you know? I kind of was okay, that's gonna be the vibe. And I knew I had to record an episode today, so I was wow, if I'm just cuddled inside and relaxing and recording a podcast episode, I don't know. I'm just kind of really feeling it today. Kind of liking the vibe of it all. Kind of just chilling, talking, recording. But yeah. Intentions. I really, really, really need to start Christmas shopping. Okay. I've done a little bit of Christmas shopping. And when I mean a little, I mean I shopped for JJ because he's the easiest. So JJ's presents are basically done. So now I need to do actual Christmas shopping. Honestly, just the thought of it kind of stresses me out. It's still early for me. It's literally December 3rd. Sunday, happy Sunday. I'm recording this the day before it goes live. What else is new, honestly? It's December 3rd. So I still have a decent amount of time before Christmas. But I feel like I say that to myself every year, and then next thing you know, it's a week before and I'm oh my God, now I have to get things in store because if I get them online, they're not going to be in time. That happened to me last year, and I ended up getting presents that came in after the new year, never mind after Christmas, they came in after the new year. So we're going to try to not get there again, but I don't know. Stay tuned, honestly, in probably next week's video to see how well we did with this. But my intention is going to be to start Christmas shopping. I really, really, really want to try to get ahead and done. That way I'm not stressing when it comes time to Christmas. When it comes closer to Christmas, because then I'll know I'll be done. Everything should be wrapped. Everything will be good to go. I'll just have to prepare type of situation. Yeah. Streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. And we are here on YouTube, Girls Gotta Talk podcast. Anywhere you stream your podcast. Said it right this week. So with that being said, I thought I, did, if you know, what I call my podcast research, and I was going through a lot of podcasts the other day trying to come up with topics, situations, whatever. I saw a lot of people do this topic, and I thought it could be interesting, mostly because it'll just turn into a self-talk for myself. Does that even make sense? It'll basically be a talk to myself because I really need to let myself do this. I need to talk myself into doing it. All right, so before we go into it, we're going to talk about time alone and becoming your own best friend. I think I really needed this topic. I looked at podcasts. I didn't listen to the podcast episodes. I might go back and try to see for the people who have done this topic to actually listen to their episode and see what they had said. I feel like my problem is that I don't like to really do things by myself. But with that also being said, I'm a very like I honestly want to say like almost antisocial person. So it depends on also like who I'm with, depends on what I do. Does that make sense? Like, I wouldn't do just anything with anyone. I wouldn't like be like, oh, I have to run to the store, come with me type of errand, like weird errand with just anyone. But I also wouldn't be like, hey, let's go get coffee or let's go to the mall with just anyone. Like, I have to feel comfortable in the situation. I have to feel comfortable. I don't even know how to describe this. I'm really not one to go out and do things by myself. It's really bad. I get really like social anxiety. I don't even know if that's what it is, but like I don't like running to like the grocery store typically by myself. I'll do it. The grocery store isn't that bad, but it's, I don't know, there's some things where I refuse to go by myself. I don't like to go by myself. I'd rather be like, hey, even if you just sit in the car with me to go, I'll run in by myself. But like, it's so weird. Like in my mind, I'm like going somewhere by myself freaks me out. I don't know what it is. I need to get over it. I'm literally 27 years old and I'm like, I'd rather not, but it's really bad. So I feel like this episode, I will be kind of speaking to myself in a sense. This episode definitely is my type of episode. It kind of really speaks to me because it's what I need to do. I did see this thing though on the internet. I'm going to read this quote I found. Because I found it and I kind of just searched like becoming your own best friend or being your own best friend, I think was just the terms I Googled within itself. And it kind of came up with a lot of articles on like how to kind of situation, which is what we're going to get into, but also like quotes on, I don't know, like what different people say about trying to become your own best friend and time alone and spending time like with yourself, for yourself, that type of situation. So I did find this quote that says, being friends with yourself is all about finding ways to meet your own needs in a way that works best for you. It's about showing up for yourself even when others do not or cannot show up for you. And I was like, okay, so that was the quote. After I read this, I was like, wow. Like, did I do the topic yet? Of let's go back in my notes. Literally speaking to myself here. I don't want to talk about it if I haven't done it yet. So I know I was planning on doing an episode and I don't remember what episode it was, and I had the cliche like, sorry if you can hear me flipping through this notebook, but I had the cliche, I can't find it, so I'm pretty sure I've done it. I had the cliche thing that's like, the only one there for you at the end of the day is you type of situation. And I feel like that's what kind of struck me when I read that quote, because it literally says it's about showing up for yourself even when others either do not or cannot. That is a difference, because there's times where people like just don't show up for you. You think that like they're really good friends, they're gonna show up for you in a time of need or something, or there's times where they cannot, whether it's they have plans and they can't, or they like physically just can't be there for you, whether they're going through their own thing or what. So really, I'll go back to it. The only person there for you at the end of the day is yourself. I know that sounds really cliche, but it is very true. You do have people, obviously, that are there for you all aspects of life, all times during the day. But at the end of the day, like, I would say most of the time, like, you're there with yourself. You're there by yourself. So there's no one there better for you than yourself. I don't know if that even made sense. But I saw that and I was like, wow. So that is kind of, honestly, almost like my motivation to get myself to spend time alone and be doing more things by myself and becoming my own best friend. Like if I want to do something, I don't want to have to find someone to either go and do it with me or do it. I don't want to say for me because like I'll do it, but like it's mostly just going with me. I want to be able to just up and go by myself. I don't want to be able to overthink it. I don't want to be able to give myself like get really anxious about it, because that's also when I start to overthink it and get really nervous, really anxious, really like scared. I would say scared because it almost like gets me to talk myself out of it. Like, oh, I don't need to do that right now, so let's just not do it, because then I'm not getting over it. The first thing I had written down for this, honestly, was like, you need to realize it's okay to be alone. I know I would say some people just don't realize that it is okay to be by yourself. I am definitely okay with being alone. I'm such a homebody, which puts me, I don't want to say alone because now I have a son, so I'm never really like alone. I'm alone right now because he's napping, but if he wasn't napping, I'd be with him. But before I had my son, I was definitely okay with being alone because I'm such a homebody that it just left me like in my room with myself, or home alone if either family, whatever, went to go out to do something. I cannot tell you actually the amount of times growing up that my family would either like go to the mall or go out to dinner or something, and I would just not want to go because of, honestly, a lot of the time it's like social setting. Being in a restaurant, eating in a restaurant, I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't know if it goes back to like social anxiety, but just being in like a place that has a bunch of people, and I don't know, like it's not my type of vibe. Don't get me wrong, I will go and sit at a restaurant. I've definitely gotten better with it, but when I was growing up, I was not a fan. I did not like the mall. I didn't really like eating at restaurants. I'd rather like order, take it to go home type of situation, but I don't know, like it just wasn't my vibe. So I would be home alone while they went out to eat, type of like a, hey, I don't want to go, but like bring me back something to eat type of thing. And of course it was always like, I'm not doing that. If you're not going, you're not eating, which I get as an adult. Definitely couldn't blame them. But I don't know, like I was okay with being home alone. I was okay with hanging out by myself. I was okay with just sitting in my room and either watching a movie or listening to music. I don't know. So the realizing to be alone is not really my problem. I guess when I'm home, if that makes sense, I need to start to realize that it is okay to be alone in social settings. I know that definitely stresses me out on a different level, but I would honestly say we're slowly but surely getting on the right path with that. I will say the other day, so I go to, I've said it before, this little spot with the water I sit at. I love it. It's nice. I will go there by myself, even when it's really crowded. I usually just sit in my car, which is probably why I'm okay with being there by myself. I do sit on the wall sometimes, but mostly I just go and like observe from my car. There are times where there are a lot of other cars there, but it's not like it's a very social place. Like people are walking back and forth, but you're seeing them for like 10 seconds as they walk by your car, and then they're gone. Like they're taking laps, they're doing their thing, going for a nice stroll. The other people in their cars, they're not bothering you. You're not bothering them. You're all just sitting there looking at the same thing, having a grand old time. I will say, like the other day, I went and got food. I stopped at Panera and then went to this spot, and it kind of got me thinking that I need to go and definitely be by myself more. Eating lunch, having like a little solo lunch date at this spot was so nice. I loved it so much. I thought that taking the next step and, eating in restaurants by myself, like if I got Panera and like ordered it and just sat in Panera and ate before going here, would have been a different scenario. I don't know, maybe because like the Panera that I would go to isn't really like, I don't want to say not popular because like a lot of people like Panera, but it's not a busy place. At least the day that I went. It could very well be on a whole different day, But when I went in there, I noticed that there wasn't a lot of people in there. So it kind of got me wanting to, I don't know, eat lunch by myself. Like, that's when, you know, like a little light is flickering in my head, because would I ever think to do that? Like, if you told me even last year that thought was going to pop into my head, I would think you're absolutely crazy. But I was telling myself that I've kind of was realizing that it's okay. Like, a lot of people go to eat by themselves. A lot of people go eat by themselves on their lunch break from work, or just by themselves in general. And I feel like I need to start kind of doing that. I feel like that would kind of put my mind at ease with telling myself that, like, it freaks me out and it's like the worst case scenario, because I feel like once I do it and realize that it's not, that I'll start doing it more. And that's like the little push I think I need for myself. I also need to kind of realize that, like, no one cares what you're doing. No one cares what you're doing. Like, they might, like, I feel like my thing is that, like, if I'm by myself and I'm sitting alone, whatever, people are staring at me and I automatically think they're judging me, when honestly they're probably not. They're just looking around the room. They're being the nosy little Nellies that they are. You all do the same. You walk in, you're kind of looking around wherever you walk in. Like, it's just something that happens. It's like a natural, like response almost. Like, you just walk into a restaurant, you walk into a store, you walk into a room, whatever, you just start looking around, just honestly to look around. Like, if you just walk in and, like, dead set on wherever you need to go, like, you're lying. Like, you walk in, you look around, you just kind of look around at the spot, see what's going on, kind of take it all in, and then, like, you're set on what you need to do. You're going to your table, you're looking at the menu, you're talking to whoever you're actually with. Like, if you're with someone, you're not focused on that one person that's sitting in a booth by themselves, or the one person sitting at the table by themselves. And I feel like me on the other side, I think that that's all people are thinking about, is they're judging me for being alone, or just talking like, oh my God, that person's sitting over there by myself. When in reality, like, they really, like, other people do not care. I can strongly tell myself that right now, and I need to try to stick it into my head, because if I were to go and actually sit in Panera and grab a snack or lunch or whatever, I would be overthinking it so bad that I would probably, like, up and leave. Like, I would just be like, all right, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not hungry. Like, I'm just going to leave. People will look at you, I swear, for 30 seconds, a minute tops, and they'll forget. They'll forget what you were doing. They'll forget what you looked like. They'll forget probably that they even looked at you in the first place, because they have so many other things on their mind and so many other things that they're doing during the day. Go to that lunch by yourself. I need to tell myself that, honestly. That was kind of for myself. Another thing is, like I said, this is kind of just like a little prep talk to me, is that I need to try to make time to do things for myself. And I feel like, obviously, like, that means doing things by myself. It doesn't always mean to do things for yourself with other people, if that makes sense. Kind of like a don't rely on anyone. You want to do it, go and do it. Like, you don't need anyone. You have yourself type of situation. Like, why would you want to wait for someone to be free or for someone to be available when you want to do something, like, right in that moment? Like, if we'll go back to the lunch example, just because that's what I've been using. If I wanted to go and eat, go on a little lunch date, say, like, I was craving Panera. I hadn't had Panera in so long, but I really, really, really wanted Panera. I need to, like, see, this is why I was proud of myself, because I didn't need to, like, ask someone, hey, do you want to go get food? Or, hey, are you free to go get food? Oh, you're only free at this time? Okay, like, I'll wait for you to get out of work, or I'll wait for you to not be busy, do whatever you got to do during the day. Like, why would I want to sit here and wait for that time when in that moment I want it right now? Like, why am I going to sit here and wait 2, 3, 4 hours for someone to either get off of work just because I don't want to go by myself? I like, why wait? Like, go and do it right in that moment. Like, you don't need someone. What I need to tell myself is I don't need someone holding my hand to like do anything in life. This OBS is what I use to like record on the laptop, and it's been having this like glitch situation. I don't know if you saw it. If you watch the podcast, it happened in last week's episode. It does like the random bubble with the thumbs up in it. If you're an audio listener, I'm sorry to explain this, but it just happened again, and every time I see it, I have to like stop recording, restart OBS, start a new recording thing, and it just throws me off. Like, I have like short-term memory as it is. I don't remember things an hour after it happened most of the time. So this thing distracts me, and then I lose like what I'm saying. So I don't know what I was saying. I'm just gonna move on. Oh, I literally was talking earlier about I didn't want to ruin the episode if I hadn't said it already, and I had the quote that said, at the end of the day, the only person there for yourself is you. Yeah, that was my next bullet. So it was literally in this episode. Yeah, cliche, but it's a true statement. The only person there for you is you. I would honestly say as high as 90% of the time. Like I said, you do have those people that are there for you day in, day out, anytime. And like they actually mean it. I know a lot of people say that, but not a lot of people actually mean it. There are people that mean it, but you're still there for you really any time of the day. Cliche, but I'd have to say that is probably honestly one of my favorite quotes now that I've said it 9 million times lately, especially planning this episode. Another thing that I had written down was some people don't like to be alone because of, I don't know, I feel I'm part of this is a lot of people don't like to be alone because then they start thinking of either overthinking something or thinking, they come up with little scenarios in their head that definitely probably would not happen 99% of the time, but because you're thinking so far into things, you think they're going to. I sometimes get in that path. It's just one of those things where something pops up on your mind and then all of a sudden you can't stop thinking about it. You start playing it out. You start overthinking. You start, I don't know, getting really deep into yourself. And then that's what also gets you really scared. That's what happens with me if I was sitting alone and someone just happened to like look over at me, I would automatically assume and start thinking too far into it that judging or I don't know, they're talking about you, they're just, I don't know. And then I start to get like, I easily get really uncomfortable with myself. That, like I said, it would probably turn into the scenario of I would probably not get so hungry anymore, stop eating, either take my stuff to go or just throw it all out and up and leave, and then be mad at myself because I get back to like here when I'm talking straight up like this, saying that people do not care what you're doing, and I could have just sat there perfectly fine. I feel like, I don't know, don't get me wrong, I like alone time. I like the whole me time situation. It's becoming your own best friend that I definitely, it's harder for people. It's harder for me. It might be harder for you. It's weird. Like you like the alone time. You like to sit there and, I don't know, have like your little self-care night or watching a movie by yourself. I've been binge watching this show lately by myself and I've just been really enjoying the time. But I feel like I need to do more things by myself. Like I need to get out of my own little bubble. And I don't know, like I would say anxiety is definitely something you can't just like kick to the curb and like forget about. It's definitely something, I don't know if you could really overcome anxiety. Is that a thing? To overcome anxiety? I don't know if that's a thing, but I feel like, I don't know, for me, I talk about anxiety as if I'm like actually diagnosed. This is definitely a self-diagnosis. I would say I've been a lot more anxious and have a lot of moments postpartum. So I feel that I want to say almost bring it on myself in this case, which I feel like definitely I can almost avoid per se if I stop overthinking so much about doing things by myself. But it's just one of those things that like you can't get out of. Like I can't get out of my head of going to a place and being perfectly okay either being there by myself or even just the fact of driving there by myself. I do like being in the car sometimes alone because, you know, you play your podcast, you play your music, songs people might not like but you really want to vibe to. I feel like that's a whole different situation, but I don't know, just knowing that there's somewhere to show up to, sometimes showing up alone really freaks me out. I'd rather show up with someone, or I'd rather have someone like meet me and we walk in together type of situation. There's so many little instances that I freak myself out about, and like I feel like almost hype up that they don't need to be hyped up about. Like, why are you scared to show up somewhere alone? Why are you scared to walk in by yourself? I like think back on all these times and I kind of question myself, like, why is this such a big deal? But to me, like, I'll almost freak out where I'm like forcing someone to either do this with me or come with me or meet me this way. And I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. I'm just kind of whatever's coming to my mind, I'm kind of talking. But I feel like what I'm trying to get at is you have to let yourself kind of experience these things to kind of tell yourself that at the end of the day, oh my God, I hate this glitch that OBS has. I think we tried to Google it and it was saying that it's, I don't know what they said it was, but it should be fixed. It needs like I don't know. I forget what it said, but it's a glitch on OBS. Like, there's nothing I can really do about it, which kind of makes me mad because I have all these different recordings that I need to put into one and make it sound like a really good podcast. But as I was saying before it happened again, you kind of have to let yourself go through these things. You have to let yourself kind of realize almost that at the end of the day, everything you were worried about until you got to this point in the day has been perfectly okay. You showing up to that party by yourself, yeah, you were freaking out, but at the end of the day, it was a nice party, you had a good time, and now you're sitting there reflecting and you're like, why was I so scared? You went in, you found the group that you were going to go to, or you found your friends, you found whoever you were trying to meet, and you had a great time. You went and got lunch by yourself. Yeah, a couple people looked at you, but it's not like anyone made it a big scene, made it a big deal. You enjoyed your lunch. You had a great time. You watched, I don't know, some YouTube videos. You listened to some music. You listened to a podcast. You read a book. You just kind of, I don't know, sat there. It was still a good time no matter what you did. It's one of those moments where, I don't know, I would definitely need to talk myself into doing it. And then I would get to this point, as I'm saying, that let yourself do those things and it'll give you a peace of mind. Like, you'll realize you made it in and out of that situation all okay. Yeah, it might have been a little scary at first. I don't know why, but it might have been, I don't know, making you anxious, giving you anxiety, making you panic a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's one of those also little moments that you have to give yourself credit for. You have to realize you did it for you, like by you almost. Like, you did it for yourself, by yourself. Honestly, I would have to give myself a little pat on the back in any of those situations because of the fact that I know that it was not something I wanted to do. It was not something almost willing. Like, I was not willing to do it by myself, but I made myself do it. I gave myself the credit. Give credit to where credit is due. You are more than welcome to give yourself credit for anything. So I feel like that was definitely something I would have to give myself credit for if and when it happens. But I don't know. I definitely have realized that I don't know. Now that JJ's in daycare and I realized I have more time for myself, I need to kind of treat myself with it, if that makes sense. I need to take the time that I have and not, I don't want to say waste it, but I don't know. I need to do something with it. I need to kind of realize that it's just me in some of these situations, and why not do something you want to do because it's just you. So, I don't know. Like I said, this is kind of a pep talk for myself. I knew it was kind of gonna be, but I think I just needed to hear it. I needed to say it. If I say it out loud, maybe I'll like realize little, I don't know, instances, situations that I'm like, I just said that and now it's actually clicking in my head. I feel like this episode was just kind of a big babble and I don't even know if it made sense. I don't want to cut this episode short, but I can hear in the background that JJ is now waking up from his nap. So before he interrupts with his crying, I have to go get him. I thank you guys so much for listening to my little talk that probably made no sense at all, but I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next week back with a brand new episode. Bye.